Hey guys, it's Chuck Bryant today on the Chuck Bryant Show and Friends, and we're going to be going live on YouTube. Hey guys, this is Chuck Bryant live on YouTube tonight. Hey, we got a very special guest with us tonight. You're not going to believe who is on the phone with us tonight. So, hey, let's go ahead and get this started.
Hey Chuck, how's it going?
Hang on. Hey guys, this is Chuck Bryant coming to you from the WOTG TV and radio studios live in Dalton, Georgia, soon to be in Cleveland, Tennessee. Hey, we got a very special guest, and that show starts right now. And tonight's show is all about a lady that has so many hands in entertainment that it's unreal. And she's also my partner in crime. We got a concert coming up, but tonight's show we're going to be talking about royalties, how your record label works, how video works, how to get it out to YouTube, and stuff like that. On the phone with me today is Miss Rhonda Smiling. What are you doing, girl?
Hey, just hanging out. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Chuck.
Not a problem. We have a little bit of a thing in the video, but we'll be getting that worked out in the near future. Ron, it's so great to have you on the phone. I have been getting so many calls in just the last couple of weeks about people that are needing to have they're worried about their royalties. They're worried about the codes that go on their CDs and stuff like that. And I know that we've talked about this for over the last year. And one of my biggest things is that people, whether they're getting paid thousands of dollars or they're getting paid a couple of dollars, they go to the studio, they put out all this money to have a CD done, and then when they send it to the radio stations, it's not coded. So tell us a little bit about coding.
Well, that's true, Chuck. As a record label owner, Southern Way Records, I had to study a lot of this, and I've got a lot of friends in high places to help me with this. But let's talk about the ISRC codes, the International Standard Recording Codes is what that stands for. It's a unique identification system for sound recording and music video recording. Each ISRC code is identified as a specific unique recording that can be permanently encoded into a product as a kind of a digital fingerprint. Like every time it plays, the data is sent out to the companies of that needs to be like BMI and Sound Exchange, ASCAP, and all that to be able to get royalties. Now, the ISRC identifies a particular recording, not the work of the composition or the lyrics content. Now, that word, the ISWC, comes in at the International Standard Music Work Code. It's a unique identifier to identify the actual artist, songwriter, and stuff like that. So now, a lot of times, independent artists. Now, when I say that, a lot of people don't know. They think it's, oh, these are just people that's just starting out singing on the back porches. No, actually, independent artists start out like Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, all was independent artists when they started out. And to understand that is go back in the history of independent labels and stuff. Independent record labels have been around for much longer than most people think. In fact, some of the first indie labels was started in the post-war area. We say traditionally many things that label worked with artists who, like I said before, for example, independents like Sun Records was founded in 1950 in Memphis. Signed to country rock artists both, and some of those artists included Elvis, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash. A lot of independent records do that. But now, back then, they recorded like the radio stations. As I worked in radio when I was younger, we had to keep a log of all the music that was played and turn in as a report at the end of a shift, which was then that's how the royalties were paid. Now there's companies out there that collects this data all through the internet and stuff that's played. And this is brick and mortar radio stations or internet stations that this is done through. Because anytime that it has these codes in it that I just explained to you about, the song is played, even on Facebook or YouTube or anything, it calculates that. I mean, have you ever, Chuck? Have you ever like tried to play a song on Facebook and it comes back and it tells you that it's muted because the royalty belongs to somebody else?
That's correct.
Well, the reason for that, that's like with videos, music, even books have codes on them. And these codes are for copyrights to keep people from stealing your stuff. And so these codes are very important to artists. And a lot of artists over the years didn't have these put on their songs when they was recording because that was not needed at the time. Back in 2002, they started playing around with these numbers and stuff and saying this data should be used. And as the internet progressed and all this, by 2010, they passed a thing with the music industry that these codes need to be used. So by 2012, it was BMI and Sound Exchange. It will not pay out unless it comes into the code, so they don't know how to pay the royalties. So with you being a radio person, when a song comes into you from an artist and you put it into the system and nothing comes up. There's no artist name. There's no song name on there. There's no picture. There's no nothing. You can't identify them. Nothing. What do you do with that music?
Well, if I don't code it, I have to set it to the side for us to be able to play it later.
Exactly. So when you say code, you're saying you put in the name, you put in the artist name, the name of the song, that stuff. But you can't put in the IRSC codes, right?
That is correct.
Because those have to be purchased. They're purchased and they're regulated through it. Like now, a studio that I work with, Studio K, Greg Alexander is amazing. Now, and I've learned a lot from him over these codes and stuff. I did not understand them because, like I said, back when I worked in radio, we didn't know what these was. But through a lot of training from him and various studies and taking a couple classes online, I learned a little bit about them. But to be able to be paid royalties, and this is back to your question. I'm sorry I went through all this. I want people to understand the whole ideal of it.
That's fine.
How to get paid for the royalties is make sure that if your songs that you're sending out through radio is coded, okay, then the radio station pays them royalties, not to you. They don't come personally to you. You don't get a check in the mail. You can't call a radio station up and say, "Hey, I sent you my song and I've heard it played 5 times. Where's my money?" It don't work that way.
Correct.
What happens is the radio station is billed through a company, as if it be 360, if it be
One three
TuneIn.
65.
Yeah, Live 365. There are different other companies out there that they do it, but they pay it out through that. So that number regulates it through all the data, through all these companies, and then it goes out through where you should be registered with BMI and Sound Exchange. And that's where you get paid from is these companies or ASCAP. If you're with ASCAP, then you need to also be registered with Sound Exchange because a lot of songwriters will register with ASCAP, not BMI. Some will BMI, not ASCAP. Whichever one you prefer, that's fine. But you do have to do Sound Exchange because that's where regulation comes through. BMI basically is helping you to regulate that song is yours and your sole property of it. You need to put in the codes of what it is to match it. So that's the payment. Now, I know this sounds like a lot when you start talking about codes and royalties and stuff. That's the reason of people out here that is to help these independent artists because it's hard for you to try to manage your whole career and manage all the business behind and all the publicity and make sure the codes are done, make sure the recording is correct and setting up your tour and stuff. That's the reason all the artists have so many people working with them. And that's how they become more successful.
Well, trying to do it, we get the CDs in. It's like today or over the weekend, I got in some of our comp CDs. And then I've got 2 CDs by 2 of the artists. And then we got like a thank you card for from the Walkers from an interview that we did with them and playing their music on the radio station. So we go to the post office every week and we pick up the donation checks and we pick up the CDs. And I get what I call a pre-recorded CD, a karaoke CD from home, and we put it in the system. Now, I want you to understand, as an artist, I understand how much it costs in the studio. And a lot of us have been doing Facebook Lives and stuff like that, and we're ready to go we're ready to cut an album. I love to play everybody's music, especially independent artists, big artists, little guys, or whatever. But when you send me a CD that has not been properly ran through a system and has paid a studio, and I don't care who the studio is,
Right.
but anyway, if you're going to put a CD out, I know it costs a little bit of money, but there's some independent group independent studios labels
Yeah.
studios, and if you give me a call or give Rhonda a call, and or shoot us an email, catch us on Facebook, we can send you to one of those. I know two that's right here in this area that I can send you to, just to get you one done. Now, if you want to get one that's professionally done, get a hold of Rhonda. She's got several studios that she works with. And if you want a good quality sound that will go out to radio, then that's what you need to do. One of my biggest things is that if you're an artist, and say that you went to one of these small time studios, and you went in there and they got everything done, and they give you the master CD, and you go home and you pop it in, and they give you that saying that says mixed. Okay, that's not for you to go out and start sharing it with radio stations and stuff. They've give you a copy of the CD to say, hey, does this sound good? Is this what this is what you're looking for? So a lot of the times I'll get the songs directly from the artists where they've just got done having the CDs fixed and everything else, and then I get mixed on it. And then when you go to pop it in and you send it, see how a PC reads a MP3 is just like it reads a document file. Okay, you've got the music file that has the artist and the name of the song on it. Am I right?
That's correct.
And Windows has a Windows file directory. So you go on that Windows file directory and you put it in that this is Jane Doe's song, and you know in parentheses you put it in for an example, Amazing Grace. There's nothing wrong with you singing Amazing Grace and turning it over to the record staff. But it kind of reminds me of the song if you've seen Walk the Line with Johnny Cash.
Right.
And when Sam, I believe it was, or Sonny from Sun Records, whoever that guy was, looked over and said, if I had a dime for every time that I had a Amazing Grace song, I could be a millionaire. So what you want to do is, there is so many ways that you can raise money to cut a CD now. You can do a GoFundMe, you can do PayPal, you can go out there and so many ways that you can get a CD on radio. Now you'll send. Go ahead.
Well, Chuck, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there, but I just want to say, we say it's like people I think it's a lot of money. It's not really that much if you stop and think about it. Is it more expensive to not have your song played and you just copied off a bunch of CDs and you send them out to these radio stations? You've paid for all this mailing out and all this sending out, and you're just throwing them in the trash, basically, or they just lay them to the side because they're not coded right, or they're not, because these radio stations, they don't want to get in trouble for not paying royalties. But is it cheaper to do it that way, or is it cheaper to pay, $300 or $400 to a record label, to one of the independent record labels, to help you get it not only recorded, but get it out there in front of the people, get it to the radio stations for you, and, get it done right the first time.
Right. Well, and again, like I said, you want to make sure that you've got the system set up right. Bear with me, I got a phone call coming in, and I just sent him a text message. But anyway, look at it like this: you've got one of the greatest songs that you think that you've written, and you want to get it out. You want to get it out there, and you've been going to church and singing this song. People are praising you for it. So somebody says, "Well, you ought to get that over on radio." I've got a guy in radio. Well, I will tell you the truth. There is all kinds of internet radio stations out there, and we all would love to have your music. Some will go ahead and just put you on there and doing it. Well, as we've stepped up from the days that we started to where we're at now, we're considered a charting radio station. So if I play your independent artist stuff, I'm going to pay you lower in the afternoon than I am during my prime time. And the reason for that is it's not that we don't want to play your CD. We do play your CD if it's radio quality. If I've got one to where you're in your house and you've got the system jacked up so high that it sounds like a intercom plan, I can't play that because I don't consider that radio quality. And we play a lot of artists on our station. We've got over 9,000 songs in our database. So, all the songs are in there. But if I get a CD, it's just like a couple weeks ago I got a CD. A gentleman never even put his name on it. He sent us the CD and said, "Hey, play this on the radio." And I got track one and nothing else.
Track one is really famous. A
Sure
lot of
is.
people will send in, you put it in there, you don't know who the artist is, you don't know the name of the song, and somebody might like that. Like they're playing it, and you go looking for it, and they're like, oh, well, I want to hear track one of unknown artist, please, because I really like that song. See, that's another reason why they need to be coded correctly and have the correct stuff in it, because these people are listening when they are played. If they do get played out there, then people listen. They want to know who that artist is. They want to know what that song is. And I want them to know, like, if I have a song out there, I want them to know who sing it. I want to know what the song's name is. That's what I want them to remember.
All right. Well, let me put it to you another way. There is such software out there now that, like, if you went and got your CD from the when it produced it, the record label or the studio, and they bring it to you. Well, there's free software out there that you can go in and put all your information in, your name, your track stuff, and the coding that you need to go on there to where people know who you are. Because one of the biggest the things that people talk about, you were talking about this a while ago, going on Facebook, and they mute your song, and you're so aggravated. I've heard this from 2 or 3 people. I can't believe they muted my song. Well, number one, let me bring this to you from a record side. If you have a song, and let's take one of the top songs, Beulah Land, because everybody loves to sing Beulah Land. All right, Square Parsons paid for that song, had it done, and everything else. Square Parsons also paid for the track, for the music on that, and that's called a track. So you got to get a mechanical license for that particular song. So where do you go buy that song at and get that mechanical license?
You go back, if you want to buy the song, you have to go to the actual, either the composer or the songwriter, usually through their management team. Or if, like, it's through Daywin or
there you go. That's what I was looking for. Daywin.
different other organizations out there that sells rights and stuff. But you're looking at anywhere from $250 to $1,000, depending on the song and what you want to do with it. And that doesn't give you rights to. It gives you rights to record but not perform. You have to pay performing rights. There's a lot of stuff. If you want to stay legal, there's a lot of stuff you have to pay to use other people's songs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The one whole CD could cost you close to $3,000 to $5,000 to have it produced.
Exactly. But then this is the thing. There's a lot of artists out there that write songs that wants to sell their song. They'll sell you the song and the rights really easily but you have to talk to them and you have to get it written. Studios I work with several studios. They won't record a song unless they have a written letter from the songwriter that says that they give them permission to do it. Okay, some of the artists has complained about that. They don't like it because, well, my friend wrote it, but well, this is the deal. This comes back on the studio. It comes back on us. It comes back then back to the song, the singer, the artist, then back to the songwriter. The reason you have to have that letter is, first of all, you're using somebody else's property,
Yep.
and we don't want. That's like if I was selling. Say if I was selling deodorant, there's some deodorants that run through this hot. I'm
Right.
selling deodorant, cans of deodorant, and someone takes the can of deodorant because I give it to them to use for a few minutes, and they take it on over here, and someone else, run around. They're using my deodorant
Hate that when
and
that
they
happens.
sharing it with everybody else. Well, that's like the song. If you have a song, you're my friend Chuck, and I have this song, and I think you sing great here. You sing this at your church, and you enjoy this. Well, you take that, everybody liked it, and you think, well, I'm just going to record it. You go and you record it. You go out here, and they set all these codes in it, and they got all this, and they forgot all about this writer over here, and this writer's not getting any royalties. Now, that's not fair. That's not fair to the writer. Yeah, he might have shared his song with you, or she might have shared the song with you, but are you sharing the royalties with them?
Right.
And that's where a lot, when independent artists and independent record labels and independent studios and stuff, a lot of times people just buy some equipment and say, hey, I have a studio. Or they'll just say, "Hey, you know what? I'm a record label," or "Hey, I can sing. I'm gonna be an artist." And they have no clue about the business side of it or nothing. And yes, you can sing, or yes, you can mix some tracks, or yes, you can go out here and promote records and stuff. But that's not the whole thing. The whole thing is always being educated, always learning. Never take. People forget that even though it's a ministry, it's also a business.
Right.
And this is where I have my little pet peeves is that people say, "Well, I'm in a ministry. I don't have to do all this stuff." Well, yes, the law says to put your music on the radio, you need to do this data into it, blah blah blah. Um, well, it's a ministry. I don't want to do this. Well, okay, I understand ministry because I have a ministry myself, but I also understand that to be able to get out of something that I need, I have to put in what it takes.
Well, one of the things that people, if you go to church, listen is, if you go to
Mm-hmm.
church and you sing your song, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. If you go to a singing, like we're going to be involved in a big singing, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But
Mm-hmm.
you go to a singing, and you sing that song, and everybody, like I said, everybody spend the time, and listen, I understand that it costs a lot of money. Do a fundraiser, do a GoFundMe,
Mm-hmm.
get out and have a singing, have a benefit singing. Said, I'm wanting to record this song.
Right.
One song can cost you up to about $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the right studio, they probably already got the music together. You pay them, they'll get your song put out there for you. They'll get it fixed up for you, and they'll get you ready. If you want to cut an album, see the part of getting all this done and getting it done right is because the reason we're bringing this up. I've had 6 calls, and Rhonda, you've answered the calls because I forwarded them over to you. We've had 6
Mm-hmm.
calls in the last 2 weeks or something,
Yep. 2 weeks.
and dealing about our songs. Well, we had an artist today that contacted us that she was talking about her music and how, and I realized this artist what she was going for. And the thing about it is I want to make sure that you get paid over a period of time. And here's the thing. Back in the day when we're going to take an artist, Carl Perkins wrote the song Blue Suede Shoes.
Right.
Carl released it in the either in the 50s or in the 60s. I think it was in the 50s. He released that song, and back then they didn't have anything called copyrights or anything else. And then Elvis got a hold of it. And of course, Elvis, everybody knows when Elvis got a hold of a song, it just went. It was in the
Right.
top 10. Well, Carl, at one time, he was getting upset about Elvis singing his song. Then he realized that he had wrote a song. He had wrote a perfect song, and somebody took it and turned it into the masterpiece it was. And Carl Perkins recorded the song along. He recorded it at Sun Studios, the same ones that were Johnny
Hmm.
Cash, Conway Twitty, Waylon Jennings, Elvis Presley, Johnny
Hmm.
Cash, June Carter Cash, and so many more artists had recorded in the studio. And, once they got to a point, the owner of the studio says, well, I got to send them off to RCA because I got to get more money coming into the studio. So that's the way he did. But if you walked in, for example, we're going to take a small time studio here in Dalton. You come in and you sit down and you talk to it just like we're doing an interview. And I come into you and I say, "Hey, Rhonda, how you doing today? I've got a song that I would like to get cut, and I heard that you can help me do that." All right. Now here's the track to the song. I own the tracks. I cut all this by myself. I've got the lyrics. I've got the paperwork and everything. The song's been written. I've got the music score and everything else. I did everything. And you go, okay, sounds good. I've got to send it over to the studio and let them hear it. Well, the studio gets over there now that they've taken the CD or the song, they put it together. Well, they're going to put it together with the house band. Now the house band's going to get on it, and you're going to be in there working with the house band. How long, Rhonda, would it take me to cut one album from beginning to end? One song,
One song or an album of 10?
one song, then an album at 10.
Okay, well, if you already have the tracks and stuff, and you walked in there and you got everything ready, it'd probably be one uh, good 6 hours in the studio, depending on how good you are at singing. You might have to do a little copy overs and stuff, but about 6 hours for the song, and then everything else is done in studio without you there. That's when they mix and blend and do all the mastering and fixing everything up and tighten it up and maybe even do a couple of local checks and stuff on it. Then you have your background singers come in, so you're gonna limitation everything. You can probably have a song out within 3 days.
Okay. So if I'm doing a whole album, 12 tracks, 10 tracks.
That will take you with all the work and everything. You're looking at about a week to get everything done after you've finished recording, and I would give it at least 3 to 4 days to record. So a 2 weeks trial.
Okay. So basically, I go to the studio. It's going to take me 2 weeks to get my stuff together. Okay. Now we got the finished product. Now we're going to have to put it to we're going to have to put it to a record. We're going to have to put it to a CD. We're going to have to get our recording to where I can get this product ready. What's that going to take?
Well, basically, when they master it, when the studio masters it, it goes. They give you a master CD at that point, and that master CD is not radio ready. By the way, when you go to a studio and we have a CD mastered and done, it's mastered and done for you to for a self consumption, just straight out. Basically, when you're selling CDs type stuff, it's a totally different sound when you go to radio because it has to be, I think it's 320 or 360 megahertz. Um, and when they do it onto CDs, on like 280. So that's one thing is a difference. So it has to be remastered for radio. So like if I have an artist that comes to me and they say, okay, we're wanting to get a song recorded and we want the song put out on the radio. Well, I go ahead and tell my studio guy, whichever studio I send them to, I tell them, okay, do we need one for the radio? We need a master for it. We need a master for the CDs. So when he's done, I get a thumb drive with a radio master, and then the artist gets a CD with the master of the CDs. for
Okay.
the CD to be reprinted from. Now, to answer your question, I want to go through that so you know what the difference in that. After the 2 weeks is done for that, and they get the CD is ready, the master's ready. Now, if they want duplications, according to how many duplications they want, or who's doing it, is my studio person doing it, or are we sending it off to Daywin, we say, or Dove, or whoever to do duplications? You don't want to have your friend Bob that lives down the road or
Dr.
Carl that
Mike.
lives next street who duplicate it for you because a lot of times then those peelings, the labels peels off and all this, and people don't want to buy that stuff, and it's not a good look. If you're gonna do it right. I mean, put the labor into it, put it all in there. Go ahead and have a duplicator or a studio to duplicate those for you. And usually, if you can get 100 within 2 days after they're mastered, not a problem. That means stuffed, shrink wrapped, everything. Even has the UPC code on them so they can be scanned at Walmart if need to be.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me? Don't take it down to Billy Bob down the corner. He said, "Well, I can do it cheaper for you. You give me $100, I can duplicate all those for you real quick."
That's right. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, hey, I can do it on my laptop. I can duplicate one too, but it's not going to look as pretty as it does coming out there looking like it's straight out of Walmart shelf or something.
I
Because I
remember
don't have the shrink wrap and I have all that stuff.
I had a I had a gentleman that was at I was at a concert. Oh gosh, been about 2 years ago. He's out there and he prints 10 CDs off of his computer and puts them out there on the table, and he's selling them for $5 a piece.
Yep.
Then he sells five more. Then he sells five more, and he sells five more. So he gives me one of his CDs, and just like anybody else, that night I'm back at the hotel, and I'm gonna go ahead and rip, because if I got 10 or 15 CDs before I go to bed, I'll go ahead and rip those and get those ready. And so I was going in, I put his CD into my computer, and he put it in his computer, and it popped up. I said, "Well, here's my computer," and I always carry two computers to me at every concert,
Right.
just in case one of mine goes down. And I also have a Mac that's set up with everything too. And so anyway, he turned around and he goes, "Well, it's on mine. I don't know why it ain't working on yours." And I said, "Because it's not. Yours is already set up for it, and it's not there." So he handed it to somebody that had a thing in their car, and he stuck it in there, and track one, track two, track three, and that's what I'm talking about. And what Rhonda,
Famous band.
yeah,
Famous band.
famous band, the number one record label in America was One Track Two, One Track Two, One Track Two, and they were the number one song back in the late 1700s. That was Shabbat. But anyway, the thing of it is my thing is that I want to make sure as an artist is that as I've got the radio network that we have has got several owners, and has got several partners that are in with us with the record stuff, and or not the record stuff but with the radio stuff. And we want to make sure that every radio station doesn't have, and every once in a while I'll have a track pop up that'll be it'll name the artist but it won't name the song. Somehow it got through, especially as volumes as we do. But you got to go in there and you got to fix it. And I would say 65% of our network is ready and labeled ready and everything else. Every once in a while we get one in there, and I've been known to grab a song and put it into the radio and forget about it and be going across looking at the report and going, "All right, who put that song in here? I bet it was Rhonda." Uh,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is as much as we do in radio, we want to make sure that the artist is taken care of. And at
That's correct.
the fan, when they get their CD, whether it be at one of the big arena bands, or it be you pick up the CD at Walmart, or you buy the MP3 through either Apple, Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
Google, Amazon, and there's so many different record labels. And Rhonda was talking about the digital revolution. They never believed that music on a computer would go as far as it was.
Yeah.
Because when they started the internet way back in 1996, they never thought the revolution of an MP3 would be what it is.
No, when they started the internet, they said, "Yeah, this will last about 3 months, and then it's going to crash."
Yeah. Did it ever? See what has come today? It's still crashing.
Yep.
But the thing of it is in '97 they wrote the laws for internet, and I never thought the MP3 would come. And then there was a guy later part of '99 that created the MP3 where you could take music. Now there used to be little sound bits, and I mean you could get. I can remember I could download the sound bits off of the internet, like to the song of "Everybody Knows My Name" from Cheers. And it was just music that somebody played on a synthesizer and they put it in a computer. Well,
Right.
the guy that came along made the MP3 and sold the rights to it and made lots and lots of money. Well, then what started off happening, Audacity and other peer-to-peer programs started sharing music. So in 2002, which is what Rhonda was talking about earlier, started at the point to where stations, or not record station, record labels was losing money. And one of the first artists that came out about this was Garth Brooks. That you got to be careful. You want my original stuff? Buy my CD. Buy my CD.
Right.
Well, at the end of 2001 or 2002, your first download that would be able to go directly to your phone or your whatever was Apple. Apple Music started, and then the revolution started. So here in 2000, what was it, 2016, they really made it mandatory for all these record stations to start paying royalties. It's been out there. It's been there for a while. But they were really going after it. So the people that we were now with Live 365 was doing it then. And Live 365 shut down because they lost that grandfather clause that they had back in '99. And then the world blowed up. And then the company that we were originally with was Stream Licensing went and fought them and said, "Hey, we're paying too much in royalties." And they're going, "Really? Really?" And all the money that you're bringing in and and we were paying, a lot of good money back in the day. I know the company that we were paying to from the time that we started in 2014 until the time that we left them June of last year, we paid close to about it was like $23,000 in that period of time of how much money the network paid, not just WOTG Radio or Chattanooga. It's what we all pay directly for those royalties. So now every song has to be coded. It has to be where the information's there. And
Right.
so now let's talk about your record label that you got. Okay? Now,
Well, sure.
well, this is about you. I mean, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat now.
Bring it.
Oh, I'm gonna make you sweat here. Now, I hope you get a good glass of tea because I know you.
Yep.
I know that you picked up a gallon earlier today.
Sure did.
All right. So here's the deal. Your record label. How do I get on your record label?
Well, how you get on my record label would be, first of all, is you just contact me. You can email me at southernwayrecords@gmail.com. You can call me. You can go to our website, www.thunderinghoofs, that's HOOFS.org. And you send me a message. You say, "Hey, I'm interested. Can you tell me what's going on?" And then we will have a phone call. We'll talk. If need to, we can meet in person. But right now, with social distancing, phone calls is the way it'll be. Either that or a Zoom meeting. But basically we go through the points of me asking you questions. Is why do you want to be on a record label? What do you think you can get out of this? Then I tell you what we can do for you. I sit down, I run through. I mean, we have over 5,000 radio stations we send your music out to. Now, let me make a quick note here on that. That sounds great. 5,000 radio stations play my music. No. Let me make a little quick note here. 5,000 radio stations gets your music. That doesn't mean all 5,000 of them will play your music. It's the radio's choice if they play your record or they don't. They play your song. You might not fit into their genre. You might not fit into their, there's contemporary gospel, won't play a Southern gospel music. Southern gospel is not going to play the contemporary song, but we send it to all the radio stations to give them opportunity to play if they want. So we have over 5,000 radio stations we send to, plus we have over 250 digital platforms that we put on, like iTunes, you know, Amazon, go to CD Baby, all this. So you could go up to Alexa and say, Alexa, play Harvey Purdue. I'm taking my country back, and it's going to play Harvey Purdue. I'm taking my country back.
Taking my
Matter of
country
fact, I
back,
just
Jack.
said that, and my Alexa started playing Harvey Purdue. So after we go through this long conversation on the phone and I get to know you a little better, then I asked you, where do you stand financially? Because then I will break it down and tell you basically how much it's going to cost you to get done what you want done. Are you wanting to do a whole CD and put out one song at a time, or you want to do one song now and then record another song later? And that would depend on what you want to do. So then after all the conversations, all that, we get together, then there's a release that you'll have to sign. Basically, it tells you you keep all the rights to your song. You get all the pay on your song. You're just releasing it to give me the authority to be able to send it to the radio stations and use the song as to be able to play it and promote it. Once that happens, if you've already recorded the song, you'll send it to me. I'll have it remastered to our studio for radio mastering. If you already have codes on it, you'll have to give me the codes because that code stays with that song everywhere it goes. We don't change the codes. There's already codes on it. If you don't have a code, then we put the code on it. Then in that process, then for the next 3 months, we promote that song and we call the radio station. We see how they're playing. When they do, then we tell people to call and request. We're out here, and anytime we can, we try to get you on radio stations as interviews. And then after the 3 months, if you're in the top 20, we'll promote it for another 3 months for free.
Wow.
But that's kind of how it works for the record label. Now, do we sign everybody that comes to us? No. We do not sign everybody that comes to us.
Why not?
And I'll tell you why. There's several different reasons. Some is when during the conversation that we start having, I find out that the only reason they're doing it is because Paul or Bill that lives down the street said they could sing, and they want to cut a record just because they always wanted a CD. But they're not utilizing it for any reason other than cutting the CD. Well, at that point, I'm not signing you to the label. I can still get you to the studio. We can still get you a CD, but I'll explain to you at that point, until you are ready to, invest into this, because it's not just me doing the work. The artist has to do the work too. They have to spend time talking to their people and telling them to be requesting their songs, and they have to be promoting themselves and get ready. And they have to acknowledge as an artist, not just as someone that can play a guitar or sing or something. Now, it's not going to stop you from recording a record. If you want to do a record, we're going to record. I don't care if you want to record doing funny noises on a CD. If you want to do that and you want to pay for it, we can do that. But I'm not going to release it to radios because our name's on it.
Right.
But then there's also people who come to us and I'm being nice about this. They just can't sing. They're not radio ready. They're not. They think they are, and it's not. And it's not me saying this. I mean, we have a board that looks over this stuff. We have a board that listens to it. It's not me that makes all these decisions. I am the CEO of the company, but there is 9 board members that make these decisions besides me. And they're voted on, and they go over this like, well, we don't think that this is radio quality right now. And basically, what we tell the person, we don't want them to come in here and spend a bunch of money when we don't think we can promote them.
Right.
And then one other reason would be They would come and they would start in by saying, I have no money. Do I not get this for free? It's my ministry. Should be just given to me because I'm out here obeying God. Why do I have to pay you to do this?
Right.
Well, the reason you're paying me to do this is because it's a lot of work, first of all. Second of all, I have to pay people to do things for you. To get your song recorded, we have to pay the studio time, the tech. We have to also pay for the mastering. We have to pay for the codes. We have to pay for all this. All that money goes to pay for that. I'm also connected with a studio in the UK, and I am actually licensed over there for business in the UK. We work with them. I have to pay taxes in the UK. I have to pay taxes here. This is a business. Yes, I have a ministry, which is City Light Ministry, but this is my business. And the reason you're paying me for it is because we're doing all the work so you don't have to. The
Right.
only thing you're having to do is get your name out there by talking to your friends, talking to your family, to get them to request your songs and letting everybody know where to go request the songs. Because I'm not there every time you go sing. I'm not there every time you get in front of your fans. And whatever time you're on that stage, you need to say, hey, run over to WOTGradio.com and request my song. Run over to Chattanooga Radio, request my song. Get over to the Bayou, request my song. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I'm over here on the other side, sending out emails, sending out letters, talking to people on the backside, talking to radios, talking to TV, talking to these people to get your name out there.
Right.
So I'm not going to invest my time and my money into something that you don't feel enough to invest your own money into. So that's the three reasons you wouldn't be signed to the label, basically.
All right. So this is kind of this last hour we've been talking about how to get to radio and how it takes it. You know, the dream of being back in the day of you growing up back in the 70s and the 60s, everybody had a garage band. They got a group together. They went out and they sung at the sock hop. Now we're just talking about traditional music now. So you played at churches and you played at outdoor festivals and everything else. And everybody thought, hey, it's great. You got a band. You're good. You're going out there. And back in the day, if you got signed to a record label, they paid you out right then, $15, $20, $30, $50,000, and that was all. They owned your record.
Yep, but that's you're talking about like the big three major labels. That's
Correct.
Universal, that's Sony, that's Warner. These are record labels that pay you out because they believe in their artists enough. And what it is, they've got sponsors that's paying them to pay these artists to do this. But they buy all your rights. You have nothing. And that's the good thing about independent labels is you keep the rights to all your songs. The only thing that you're giving us a right to do is use your song, but not the rights of your song.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That's where I was wanting you to go.
And, back in 1990, the lines between the indie and the major records, they're slightly blurred a little bit because large indie labels are now actually being distributed by the three big major labels. All of this just shows that hard work and never goes without being paid. And with that being said, yes, you can get on an independent label, and it does not mean you're not going to become famous or not going to be big time one day just because you're an independent label. It just means that there's different ways to do this. I mean, everybody knows who Madonna is. Yes, I'm talking about some secular music for a second, but everybody knows Madonna. Madonna first was signed to Sir Records, which once was an independent record itself. She then went on to start her own label, which is Maverick Records, and she also helped other artists do that. And it's still an independent label today, but it works with Sony, Warner, and Universal, all three studios, the big time studios, as an independent label.
Right.
See how that works?
Yep.
So just because you're an independent artist and you're signed with an independent label or you're signed with an independent studio doesn't mean that one day it won't be played on the big time. Anytime you're acknowledged is big time. And if you're in it for the ministry reason, it's not about the big time. It's about getting the word out about God.
Amen.
So that's where the blurred lines come in between the artists. What are you really doing it for? That's something the questions that is asked when we talk. What are you really doing this music for? Are you doing this to become famous? Because that way we know which way to look at. We promote you a different way. Are you doing it to get the word of God out? Well, then we know how to promote you that way. Are you doing it just because Nanamal said that you can do it? Well, then, okay, we'll record this and you can go home and play it to Nanamal. So,
Well, my grandma, she likes my music. She told me the other day that I sounded like Elvis.
right.
Well,
I got one little story to tell real quick on this, and then we'll go on. Speaking of being paid from the studio, I had an artist sign with me, and I will keep names quiet here, but I had an
please.
artist sign with me last year for me to promote them and this kind of stuff. Well, I get a call like 3 days after the contract was signed, because it was a contract for this, because I was me being a publicist. There is a 6 month contract, so that way we make sure we know what's going on. But anyhow, 3 days into the contract, I get a call and asked when they're going to receive a check to buy their tour clothes with. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? Well, anytime you sign with a big record label, you get a check. I'm like, no, no, no. So I had to explain it. And I use this for an example, not because I think the artist had a problem, but I'm thinking, the artist wasn't educated on this. And a lot of people are not. The point is, independent record labels don't pay you to sign with them. You're paying to get them to promote you up. Okay. Now, if a sponsor comes in, if we get a sponsor for you, yes, you're going to get paid. But that's a whole different level than you just coming in as an independent artist, a novelist, basically, and starting out. I can't get Frito Lay's to sponsor you until people know who you are.
So basically, what you're telling me is that you're not going to get me the big contract that Michael Jackson got singing for Pepsi Cola, or Madonna got. Oh, I forgot. Madonna lost that contract. But anyway, but what I'm getting at is that this is a lot of hard work, and you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You've got to have somebody. Now, Rhonda, you've got a lot of irons in the fire. Not just doing record labels, but you also do videos.
Yeah, Alan Thunderhurst Productions. I'm CEO of it, and I've been doing TV and film for years. I actually worked for 3 years for Tyler Perry as internist, and I learned a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of independent films. I've done a lot of TV shows. I've worked with numerous studios. That is kind of my passion. I've always been a writer. I love to write films. I actually filmed a whole feature film in Maryville, Tennessee, back in 2011. It was released called Woman in the Mirror. It went all the way to the Queen of England. Actually, got to watch it. I got a review from her, and that was really awesome. It's just was a very pleasing thing to me. But yes, but we do music videos for artists. Matter of fact, I just finished a music video for one of our Christian artists. It's just been released and will be out soon, hopefully playing on a lot of stations.
And anyway, so all right. So another thing that you've got going on, and we're gonna have to wrap this up very soon. But I hear that you have and here I hear that you have a big thing going on Saturday to help a local ministry out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, actually, October the 3rd down in Dalton, Georgia at 123 Bethel Road at Shiny Light Ministry. We're having an all-day singing and dinner on the ground type thing. Bring your lawn chairs and come on out. We're trying to raise money to help the church. Their air conditioned heating unit went out. And it's going to had to have ductwork and new unit, everything, which is very expensive. This church is amazing. Wayne Owenby is the pastor there. Him and his wife Cindy, they are just amazing people. I've been to that church so many times. I mean, it's my family like. You go there, and it's just like being family. These are good people. They just need help with this bill. And so Thunder Hoofs and Southern Way Records and WOTG TV and WOTG Radio decide to come together and do this. We're featuring a bunch of artists down there. We've got Anointed, Jana Jennings, Dudley Evans, Lighthouse, Lester Feltner. I'm forgetting someone. I'm sorry. And I didn't mean to forget you, whoever you are. I'm sorry. But off the top of my head, I can't think. But we're having a great time. Myself and Chuck will be the MCs. And we've got door prizes, we got raffle tickets going off, they've got all kinds of stuff. They got a lot of great things, food, barbecue food, plates. They got hot dog plates for the kids or adults if they want hot dogs to the barbecue. It's a great thing. We hope to see you all there. Also, that's the day we launch our new magazine.
You got a magazine? Girl, what are you not involved in?
Yeah, so we'll be launching our new magazine, which is called Voice of the Artist, and it is will be a featured thing down there. We'll be giving out free samples of this magazine. It'll be a monthly thing, but if you come, you can have one. The one featured artist in this magazine for October is Jana Jennings. She's on the cover. She's also in the center. Now, WOTG TV and Chuck Bryant is all through this magazine also as well. He also will be giving us charting each month from the radio stations of all the artists. And it'll be put in a magazine. That's a great thing. This magazine the artists can look at and see their charting from. It'll be sponsored by WOTG TV and WOTG Radio. Chuck, we appreciate you with that. We've got writers that will be writing stories in it. We've got artists that will be having pages in there for spotlights other than the featured artists. And it's just going to be amazing.
And where did you come up with this idea?
3:00 in the morning, my normal time of thinking. I was doing some other stuff, and I actually was editing. Yeah, I was editing some videos, and I always love doing. Just doing stuff, and I thought we need to get some stuff out there for the artist. Artist needs to be known. We got so many things going on. We got the radio, we got TV, we got Facebook, we got all these things. What about a magazine of getting their voice out? What about a magazine that they can actually go online and see, or they can get a print? If you wanted to print, you can get a print. Now, we do have sponsors that will be sponsoring the magazine and helping us with the billing of the magazine. Thank God. But,
Amen.
I know, right? Praise the Lord on that one.
Praise the Lord, sister.
With that being said, we're trying to keep as much open in the magazine for the artists as possible, and not fill it all full of ads and stuff. But we do have to have some ads in it because that's what pays the bills. Just like some radio stations have ads because that pays the bill. The magazine is just another extension of what I feel that needs to be here to help the artist. And that's what I'm about. It's always helping the artist. Whether you're signed with me or not, I'm here to help you. There's some things I can do to help, and you not be signed with me, and I'll do it. And there's some things when we get to the point where I'm having to spend 3 or 4 hours with you, and we need to talk about you being signed with me because that's my time for working.
Most definitely. Well, Ron, it sounds like you got things going. And I've been working with you for almost 3 years. And this coming up year is going to be 3 years that we've been working together. And we have come a long way. We've had some.
We sure have.
We've had some pits, and we've had some major glories, and we've had a lot of things go over in the last year or so. But I want to thank you for stopping by, having time to come by the Chuck Bryant Show, because Chuck Bryant Show has been opened up to not just artists, We've opened it up to Harvey Purdue. We've interviewed a couple of your artists. Um, we took we just got done interviewing a lady that is, I would say, is kind of like Nora Jones. And so, if you're interested in listening to the Chuck Bryant Show, this is where it's going to start happening. Tell everybody, share the video, like us, comment if we did something that you like, let us know. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, and Rhonda's going to be coming back because there's a lot of stuff, and she may also be on this channel too. Doing interviews and everything else. This is what we're going to try to do. Is we're going to try to build up this particular program. We build it up on we build it up on Facebook, but now it's time to go to the next level. So if you're, huh?
I said, yep.
And if you're an artist out there and you want to get with Thunder and Hoof Productions, or you want to get with Southern Way, Rhonda, how can we get in touch with you?
Well, you can call me at 865-804-2752. You can email us at southernwayrecords@gmail.com, or you can send a email to THP, that's a Tom, Harry, and Paul management team. So THP management team at gmail.com. Or you can go to our website at www.thunderinghoofs, that's HOOFS.org.
And Rhonda, hang on just a line. Let me finish up this little bit a moment. Hey, guys, if you're interested in being on the Chuck Bryant Show, reach out to me at the Chuck Bryant Show at gmail.com, or you can go to our website at the Chuck Bryant Show and Friend. I didn't add the S, so it's friend.com. And while you're there, kind of look around the website. I got an interview with Charlie Daniels. I've got some interviews with some of the greatest Southern gospel singers out there, such as Harvey Purdue. Let me tell you something. If you ever never got to meet Harvey Purdue, that gentleman is got a lot of information. He's been in country and Southern gospel and Christian country for years. He's been with some of the best of them out there: Charlie Daniels, Johnny Cash, Kenny Henson, and so many, many more. Thank you for listening to the Chuck Bryant Show with our special guest tonight, Rhonda. And let me tell you something. It has been a blessing to have her on the program tonight. And we'll catch you again the next time on the Chuck Bryant Show and Friends.